Good morning, dear friends. Can you hear me okay? Yep. Yay. Thank you. Well, it's Saturday, May the 23rd, 2020. My name's Robert Beatty. I'm broadcasting to you from the Buddha Broadcasting Network tent. I love that. In Eastern Beaverton, in Oregon. And I welcome you. Many of you I know and have had long dances with, and I hope that's more the case with everybody. Over time, I hope we get back into our wonderful meditation center. And for now, hello to those of you on Facebook, and hello those of you that are on that camera. All right. I got a humdinger of a poem this morning. I'd forgotten about this one. I had a little time, and I had a little excitement this morning at 6:35ish. My computer said, there are updates ready. Would you like to do it now? And I thought, okay. And then it was one of those big updates. So it was close. But during that time, I was reading a few poems, and I found this. It's a really fine one for these moments of COVID-19 and the uncertainty that we are living with. It's Ellen Bass again. She has a book called The Human Line, which is really a fine collection of poetry. It's called Relax. Bad things are going to happen. Your tomatoes will grow a fungus, and your cat will get run over. Someone will leave the bag with the ice cream melting in the car and throw your blue cashmere sweater in the dryer. Your husband will sleep with a girl your daughter's age, her breasts spilling out of her blouse. Or your wife will remember she's a lesbian and leave you for the woman next door. The other cat, the one you never really liked, will contract a disease that requires you to pry its feverish mouth open every 4 hours. Your parents will die. No matter how many vitamins you take, how much Pilates, you'll lose your keys, your hair, and your memory. If your daughter doesn't plug her heart into every live socket she passes, you'll come home to find your son has emptied the refrigerator, dragged it to the curb, and called the used appliance store for a pickup. Drug money. There's a Buddhist story of a woman chased by a tiger. When she comes to a cliff, she sees a sturdy vine and climbs halfway down. But there's also a tiger below. And 2 mice, one white, one black, scurry out and begin to gnaw at the vine. At this point, she notices a wild strawberry growing from a crevice. She looks up, down at the mice. Then she eats the strawberry. So here's the view, the breeze, the pulse in your throat. Your wallet will be stolen. You'll get fat, slip on the bathroom tiles of a foreign hotel and crack your hip. You'll be lonely. Oh, taste how sweet and tart the red juice is, how the tiny seeds crunch between your teeth. Bad things are going to happen. It's called Relax. Bad things are going to happen. Your tomatoes will grow a fungus and your cat will get run over. Someone will leave the bag with the ice cream melting in the car and throw your blue cashmere sweater in the dryer. Your husband will sleep with a girl your daughter's age, her breasts spilling out of her blouse. Or your wife will remember she's a lesbian and leave you for the woman next door. The other cat, the one you never really liked, will contract a disease that requires you to pry open his feverish mouth every 4 hours. Your parents will die. No matter how many vitamins you take, how much Pilates, you'll lose your keys, your hair, and your memory. If your daughter doesn't plug her heart into every live socket she passes, you'll come home to find your son has emptied the refrigerator, dragged it to the curb, and called the used appliance store for a pickup, drug money. There is a Buddhist story of a woman chased by a tiger. When she comes to a cliff, she sees a sturdy vine and climbs halfway down. But there's also a tiger below, and two mice, one white, one black, scurry out and begin to gnaw at the vine. At this point, she notices a wild strawberry growing from a crevice. She looks down at the mice. Then she eats the strawberry. So here's the view, the breeze, the pulse in your throat. Your wallet will be stolen. You'll get fat, slip on the bathroom tiles of a foreign hotel, and crack your hip. You'll be lonely. Oh, taste how sweet and tart that red juice is, how the tiny seeds crunch between your teeth. Oh, taste how sweet and tart the red juice is, how the tiny seeds crunch between your teeth. I had a really hard time when I ran into Buddhism in my 20s. Really accepting the ubiquitous nature of dukkha, because I knew that someday everything would come together. It would all be fine finally, and I'd be with the right person and have the right career, and the world would be safe, and we would end poverty and end hunger. A little idealism in my youth. Not a bad thing. Hang on, get a little bit of... All right. So where in the midst of all this change can we take refuge? How about in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha? In being awake, in being with what really is, and in the community of life. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya. It does feel a little like Groundhog Day. Without some of the punctuation points of what we call normal life. How fortunate we are to have the repetition of gathering together like this. The repetition of taking the moments to land in the body. It's pretty easy to stay lost in the pathways of the mind, in descriptions of things rather than their actual juicy reality. But to be in reality means to recognize that we sometimes hang on a rope. That life is utterly unstable. I had an experience with a wild strawberry once, long ago, at Brighton Bush Hot Springs. There was a little patch of wild strawberries in the sunshine, and one red strawberry, tiny. And I ate it mindfully, and I have never before or since tasted strawberry. It was exquisite. Was it that particular strawberry? Was it the moment of mindfulness? Was it the warmth of the sunshine? Was it the mood? Low-flying geese, a strawberry of their own. So please come home to this life of your body. Where is life the most predominant in your body this morning? Are the sensations pleasant or unpleasant? Please come home to the rising and falling of the chest and abdomen, or the sensations of breathing at the nostrils, or perhaps to sound, to hearing. Recognize the delicious nature of this breath. Let yourself climb in to this breath. And let there be plenty of room for thoughts, for the wandering mind, for emotions, for memories, not to dwell in them, but particularly not to battle with them. Each breath is fleeting, one of a kind ever. Why not receive it with curiosity, with love and compassion? as we train the mind to be interested in itself and to be interested in more subtle stimuli than usual. As curiosity grows and tranquility grow, you may recognize these as the enlightenment factors. We ultimately discover a contentment and ease in abiding with in-breathing and out-breathing. And we don't have to stop there or limit ourselves to that. We can learn to experience contentment in abiding with sounds or symptoms. We don't have to be running off somewhere in order to experience pleasure. We open to the pleasure that is our natural state. We learn to bear with the vicissitudes of life. The losses, the catastrophes, the successes, the failures. We have influence over the direction and destiny of our lives, but not control. And time and again, there is awakening to the trance or from the trance. And then there's the plan, the intention to return to your primary training object and cultivate ease, cultivate concentration. we can acknowledge the presence of the 5 hindrances when they arise. A mind of desire and wanting. The present moment is lacking. A mind of disliking or aversion or hatred. The present moment is undesirable. A mind that is restless and agitated, worried, full of remorse, trying to solve a problem, jumping from one object to another. Restlessness. A mind that is dull and falling asleep, and spaced out, sloth and torpor. Or a mind that is infused with doubt and wondering if I'm doing the right thing, or should I be doing something else, or does this practice work? And the hindrance is driven from beneath by emotions, by moods. And so we have the dimension of our practice, which is opening more and more to everything. And we open so much that we discover that we are everything. We are these separate beings that take birth and die, and we are the very field out of which we come. Over the years, I've made a collection. We have a guest this morning. I've made a collection of loving kindness and compassion phrases. And I'm going to share a few of them with you this morning. May I be happy. May I be free from fear and danger, from inside and outside. May I live with ease and grace. May I be liberated. Just roll these over in your heart and see how they land and nourish. May I know the complete safety of an undefended heart. May I realize that joy is possible in this very moment. May my whole life be one great sigh of gratitude. May I know the complete safety of an undefended heart. May I know that joy is possible in this very moment. May my whole life be one great sigh of gratitude. May I love myself and my experience exactly as I am in this moment. May I sense and know my worthiness and well-being. May I come to trust the world. May I hold myself in sweet compassion. May I meet the suffering and ignorance of others with compassion. May I love myself and my experience exactly as I am in this moment. May I sense my worthiness and well-being. May I trust the world. May I hold myself in sweet compassion. May I meet the suffering and ignorance of others with compassion. May I know happiness and the roots of happiness. May I know the end of suffering and the roots of suffering. May I never be separated from the great equanimity free of suffering. May I always dwell in the great understanding free from passion, aggression, and discrimination. If any of these or any other thoughts that you conjure up nurture you, help you remember that beautiful strawberry in life, why not practice them some? Let them become more and more familiar. Abide in well-being. Abide in love and compassion. And bringing now awareness to your body, this precious, one-of-a-kind, living organism. Feel how alive it is. Feel where it's warm and cool. Feel where it's flexible and stiff. And then letting your eyes, noticing the intention first, and then letting your eyes open. And let them see this bouquet of humans. You might do it with a thought of blessing in mind. And pick someone and wish them well. Whatever you're going to do today, may you find some way to find it nourishing or deepening of your love and compassion. Whatever you're doing today, even if it be something tedious, may you do it with great curiosity and focus. Realize that getting the task done is a small part of the undertaking. I have a couple of announcements. One is, I'm going to go to it, I hope. Yes, I think so. Here's this beautiful announcement that Molly made. Molly Balin, who now is working 5 hours a week with PIMC, Gregory's wife. Anyway, she made this beautiful announcement for us, for Betsy and me. 9 to 1, Saturday, June 6th. And this is the writing, what it says. It's quite beautiful. Love in a Time of Unknowing, a first Saturday online retreat. Spring this year brought challenges that no one saw coming. When COVID-19 arrived, the certainties of life we've long taken for granted disappeared. Days now have their own unfamiliar quality, and more than ever, the future is unknowable. Entering this confusing time can easily result in contraction, a protective response to become more defended. Noticing that, we can also see its potential to open the heart and nurture insight. Join Robert and Betsy for meditation, conversation, and reflection on using these days of late spring and early summer as a time of opening and renewal. And then there's a nice bio about Betsy and about me. So you are invited to come and attend that. This has gone out to the listserv and to the announcement list. I also put the link to it on the chat. There's 2 links on the chat. And the second link is for contributing to PIMC. And I think I had, let me see if I had something set, but I think I closed it. I did. It's all right. I'm going to go back. Close that. You may remember I spoke about the three-legged school of spirits. Oh dear, the three-legged stool of spiritual life. And you can think of it like this. A three-legged stool is a three-legged, like a tripod, is very stable. And it's one of the most stable forms that we have. And there are 3 legs to a spiritual practice. The first is, of course, meditation, training the mind and heart. Another is moral and ethical behavior, without which we're spinning our wheels. And the third, not understood so well, is the practice of generosity. That any time we have one of my favorite guitar picks. Anytime we have something and someone needs it and we're able to say, oh, would you like it? We're practicing in the great flow of energy between beings and in life. And we're also helping to free ourselves from the very natural tendency to hoard and to gather for oneself. So I invite you to go to the portlandinsight.org website. Very easy to find the links, and best thing is to become a member of the monthly giving. It's a stewardship circle, and to give according to your own inspiration and means. That and if there isn't enough in your life, then by all means, don't feel guilty. Right? We it's like we share what we have, and sometimes we have a lot, and sometimes we have next to nothing. And so we keep the doors open, and we invite other people to join us in this life-transforming journey that we're on. How am I doing for time? Oh, 7:44. I think I would like to just open now to what's happening for you, the practice of counsel. And it's not just taking a break, it's practicing and really listening. How is it? Not straining and tightening muscles, but here's someone sharing of themselves. How is it to soften and keep aware of your buttocks in the chair, perhaps, and notice what their words, what associations their words have. if you want to improve your memory, the functioning of your memory, then surprisingly, be present when someone is speaking. Because then we see the associations, and we then have we notice where the memory is filed, or we notice what emotional impact what the person is saying has. So let's do that, and I invite the quiet ones among us to speak if you can, if you want, and to speak about what's true for you. Not so much theories or stories of others, but of what's true for you. So, enough said, and I open up the floodgates to your precious sharing, if you wish.
Can I start with a question?
Questions are allowed, sure. Hi, Tempest.
My question is, what kind of bird is that we have heard the past couple of days?
I don't know, a loud one.
Yeah, but it sounds really awesome, but I don't recognize it.
Yeah, it's. Is it one of the crows? It doesn't. They can make lots of different sounds. Oh, here we go. Here, Jessica knows. She's a birder. You're frozen, Jessica.
Just because I love the birds. It's a Steller's jay, and they have all sorts of good vocals. The
Oh.
Steller's jay
Aha, okay.
is what it is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sounds.
Yeah.
Vocal bird.
Right, they're blue, right? Huh. Have you ever come across the Canada Grey Jay, commonly known as the camp robber?
I think in Eastern Oregon I did before when we were at Malheur. We saw some of the gray jays.
Yeah, there's a jay in western British Columbia that I hope it wasn't injured. I was winter camping. My friends and I we took the cable car, the gondola up at Whistler. This is it's 50 years ago, 45 years ago. We took the gondola up, and then we camped up there, and we didn't pay lift tickets for 2 weeks. We just camped out in the snow, and we hid down in the forest. But we were cooking bacon one morning, and a gray jay came in and stole a piece of bacon out of the frying pan. I mean, I hope he wasn't injured, because it could have really burned the bejeebies out of his tongue, but out of the frying pan.
Birds are great.
They are
Birds
great.
Are great. I'm not a formal or trained birder, but I've gone enough with some school trips that I've really come to enjoy them and the sounds they make. But sorry to interrupt, Tempest. I just love the Steller Jays. I wanted to share that.
Oh no, thank you, because I had no idea, so thank you for that.
That was the answer. They live nearby because we feed Budo outside, because Dobby would eat everything, and he's a messy eater, and so there's always dog food, and those blue jays come zipping in to get the dog food. Thank you.
Robert, I've noticed something.
I hear. Oh, Jim. Hi.
Well, because your session is at 7 and I want to be ready, I've been getting up before 7. And I've been noticing something that my whole life I don't think I've ever noticed, which is the sunrise. And I can't tell you how many sunsets I've seen, and I've paid attention to them. But I hadn't really ever thought much about a sunrise, and the light just comes on slowly in the early morning,
Yeah.
and lights up the day, just like, and now sitting here in this room with a curtain, I'm just able to have almost an infinite number of sunrises and sunsets just by
That's
moving
true.
back and forth.
Cool.
So I thought I would share that with the group.
Thank you. Nice demonstration.
is Martha.
Hello, Martha.
Hi. I have a practice question. I have this kind of inner narrator that wants to sort of describe every experience I'm having. And some of it's sort of storing up for questions about the experiences I'm having, especially when I'm having sort of pleasant, you know, all body awareness kind of experience, or something that's really kind of wow, you know. It's like there's this little voice that starts to click in and just start talking about it, you know, and store it up with, you know, and how am I going to talk? How am I going to ask about this? And you know, so it just tears off in all these different directions. And I know that's just part of the dance, but I love some help trying to calm it.
Mm. That's one form of that's particularly prevalent on retreat. Is if one has an interview, a meeting with the teacher every day or every second day, and you wind up creating this whole list of, I want to ask this and I'm going to ask that and this is really interesting, and then you walk in the room and you can't remember any of it. It's very frustrating in my experience. But what an interesting thing, isn't it? That there's a structure in mind that's commenting on experiences and trying to categorize them and understand them, and I think that's a product of going to school for as long as we do. That we learn to abstract, and it's learning to compare and contrast and remember is a very powerful skill that gets kind of out of control. And then it's not something we're using, but it's using us, sort of. And so the stance to it will not surprise you, which is to notice it for what it is, and to notice whether there's liking or disliking of it. Because if there's liking or disliking, it'll always stick around. And so we observe the liking and disliking because that's a dynamic, energetic part of it. And then just let it be. There's nothing, we can't get rid of things. They do attenuate and disappear through non-feeding of them. So it might be particularly useful to notice the disliking. It's like when you get after I did a 2-month retreat very early in my practice, and after that, one of my very favorite songs. I play it probably more than any other, except the Refuge Chants, is Bob Dylan's Tambourine Man. That was a very important song in my adolescence in helping me get out of my family of origin. And after that 2-week retreat, however, a 2-month retreat, I had Bob Dylan whining that song in my mind, and it drove me mad for several days. And then I didn't notice when it went away, but it was through. I gave up, sort of. It's like, well, if you're going to do that, and it wasn't a conscious thing, but if you're going to do that, do it, and I just won't resist. And then it stopped. So that I would guess that the discursive describer will be there for a long time, but with less and less irritation. It's quote it's just another wandering mind. Good question. Thank you. Useful.
Good morning, Robert and Sangha.
Karen, hello.
What's true for me today is this mind woke with a lot of anxiety and worry. And after sitting, there's been awareness of perspective and more calm.
Thank you. Oh, I should mention this too. We only really advertised it to the parents, I think. Thursday morning at 10, Rebecca and I are doing a half-hour gathering for the children at PIMC, children and families. And if you're interested in that or know anyone who might be interested, send me an email and I'll send you the information. Robert@robertbeatty.com, and I'll fire you out the information. Hi, Rebecca. I'm looking forward to our thing together. Let's talk before that, okay? There's so much happening at PIMC. We're so lucky. It's really flourishing.
Can I ask a question about that? This is Andra. I noticed on the website that it looks like it now says that these morning sessions are from 7 to 9.
This one?
Yeah.
I see. Well,
I'm pretty sure it said that, so
I
haven't been here for a couple of days, and I thought, oh, maybe something changed.
No, I am calendar date challenged. Calendar and date challenged. So it really should say 7 to 8, 8:15.
Okay. I thought so.
Things have improved some with Avi aboard because he's better at it than I am. Back when it was Kate Staples and I, it was really it was a disaster because we both were calendar challenged, and it was catastrophic at times. Where is that on the website? On the list of classes?
It was on an email that went out yesterday to Connections.
Oh,
Thank you. Yeah.
on the digest. Yeah. Okay.
I believe so.
It's
Thanks,
hard
'cause
to. It's really hard to keep all the details together between all of us. We're getting better. Gregory and Molly are really quite skilled at that. And Molly is wonderfully artistic. I always knew my advertising was clunky, but now I can see the reality of it.
Robert, this is Jim. I have a practice question for you.
I'm here.
Well, I remember you said recently that the breathing can be a focus, is the usual focus of meditation, but also that you once participated in a retreat where you had a day of seeing meditation. And I'm kind of interested, not in a day of seeing meditation, but I'd like to try it out for 5 or 10 minutes. But I'm not sure what's involved. I think it might involve opening your eyes, but that's not as far as I got. That's the first step, I imagine.
It doesn't have to. You could be imagining something. But if with you, like right now, you're seeing probably a picture of me. But the content doesn't matter. It's just the fact of seeing. And now look away from the computer and look at some other object and maybe name it, like window or curtain or picture. Or that's not essential to it. Simply be aware that you're seeing. There's seeing and there's knowing of seeing. That's the miracle. And then the mind will wander and you're wondering, what am I doing this? And is this really working? Yakety, yakety, yakety. And then you come back to, seeing. So seeing is your home base.
But is the seeing a noticing? I mean, is the seeing something, is it a focusing, seeing something
Absolutely
specific,
not.
or is it just? Oh,
It's the
it could be
it's
just sort of staring or
being
or
aware of the
seeing.
being conscious of seeing. Like right now, you could, if we changed it and you say, let's say, I'm going to give an instruction. Please become aware of the sensations in the index finger of your right hand. Doesn't take any work, does it? It's like boom, you're right there, boom. So you know how to do that. So there are sensations there. You can be aware of the fact of contact sensations. With seeing, it's the same thing, except the contact is visual. There are visual objects and light, an intact brain, intact eye, and there's seeing consciousness. Seeing occurs. Seeing. When doing this driving, which is a very useful skill, and we could even imagine it, when you do it driving, all these objects, all this whole field of view is rushing into you and disappearing. It disappears into you. That's an interesting place to practice seeing meditation. And then to know, if that's your home base, then when your mind wanders, then you come back to seeing.
I'll try it.
Mm-hmm. It's a matter of remembering to remember, to be awake. And we fail mightily because it's not been our habit, but we can really develop it.
Robert?
Hello, Pamela.
When I was teaching mindfulness, one of the exercises we would do would be to work on seeing without judging. And so that would be part of that process would be to notice color differences without preference, or noticing a red car go by and a brown car go by without saying, oh, that's my favorite kind of car. Mm-hmm. And so beginning to do that process with and noticing judging and coming back to just the sensation of seeing was a really helpful process to do.
Thank you. Makes sense. On occasion, when I've been in busy places like a mall or an airport, and I remember to do it, I will become aware of seeing, and then allow my eyes to meet the faces that are coming by me, and noticing the impact that each face has on me. So there's seeing, but then there's also all my prejudices, all the liking and disliking that occurs. And it's quite revelatory and interesting to notice that this, it's like seeing, it's like neutral, attracted, repulsed, prejudice, racial prejudice, liking, disliking, fear. And then there's people that don't even hardly register. And so it's a way of illuminating our conditioning, but also really of practicing very intently in a circumstance that could otherwise be kind of discombobulating. Now, there's another way to do that, which is simply to restrain the sense doors, and it's like, here I am walking and there's people around, and we simply don't attend to them at all. That's another way of coping or of passing through such a circumstance. It's really...
Robert,
Go ahead. No, better you.
Andra again.
Hi, Andra.
Thinking about two different experiences doing that. The other day, I adopted a rescue who appears to have never lived in a home before inside.
Oh.
And so when I was cleaning the kitchen up, I was trying to just stay focused on sound to imagine a little bit what it must feel like for him. But I became so aware of how accosting sound can be. When I just, so I noticed that it's not jump right into the energy of that when you're only focusing on that. Similarly to what's being described by how we judge, the reaction to the things we see coming by in our field. I really had a hard time doing it with sound, not going, oh my gosh, that's so loud. Oh, when you become really conscious of it. So that's
Great.
all.
Thank you. Is this a dog rescue? Ooh, that'll be a job, won't it? Interesting.
Yes, it's a practice of patience.
Yeah. Good luck.
Thanks.
Hey, Robert, it's Russell. And I'd like to just clarify something you said a little bit ago. You made the comment, I believe what you said was that liking and disliking are kind of like using a yellow highlighter and make an experience more likely to come to mind again. So
yes.
So were you also then saying that the more we can just observe with neither liking nor disliking, the more likely the experience will fade and not be at least back at a conscious mind
Yes.
again?
Yes, that
Okay.
to observe without response is the deconditioning process.
Wow. That's powerful.
And that's why they say that the arahat creates no karma anymore because there's no response to anything. There's no self there anymore.
Well, I think it's safe to say I have a ways to go.
Yeah. I think we can hobble down the road together, Russell. It's true.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think Tim, were you going to say something?
Well, I was going to just reply to the driving point that you made, and what I'm realizing is that with not driving much the last couple months, I'm kind of getting out of practice, and I'm just trying to remind myself to bring full awareness. Combined with getting older, I just bring full awareness and see driving as the experience that I had as a 16-year-old, bringing total attention to it, and thinking, how could somebody not be paying complete attention when they're driving? And then it's just kind of become automatic. And now I realize, whoa, I need to get back into really, really paying attention every moment I'm driving.
And of course, less texting and watching movies.
Well, I don't do that. But anyway. But I do remember you were inspiring to me. You talked about how, especially when when the kids were young, you would pull up to a stoplight and you would close your eyes and meditate and say, "Tell me when it turns green."
And fall asleep. Sometimes I'd be so exhausted with the babies and stuff. But I mean, there's nobody better than a 4-year-old to watch for light. Is the light green? I mean, they are like a, I don't know. They're on it. That's a nice memory. Makes me a little teary.
One of the many, many, many teachings that from you over the years that have enhanced my life. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Tim used to work at Tim, remind me.
Lane Community College.
Lane Community College, and Lane owned or had a contract or something with Hasidah Head Lighthouse, and so we had retreats at Hasidah Head Lighthouse that Tim set up, and they were something.
Fabulous.
The first or second one, I did something insane, which was, it's about, 200 feet up off the beach, and there's a very dark, dangerous, I would say, trail that goes to the beach, and we held hands and went down to the beach with no lights on, as a mindfulness practice. I think the liability people would have freaked out over that one, but it was quite fun.
There's the one particular giant route along that trail down to the beach from the lighthouse keeper's house where we stayed. But, yeah, it's a trip hazard.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And those loving kindness circles up by the lighthouse with the bell. Oh, we did good stuff then. It was fun.
A special place.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
So, where are we? Oh, it's after 8 already. Anybody else sitting with anything, please?
Can I read an Ajahn Sumedho quote?
You can. Why not?
Hi, I'm very into Ajahn Sumedho recently. I really like his skillfulness, and I really like how he talks about irritation. And yes, so irritation is something that is, impingement is something I'm dealing with, so I just wanted to read this. I thought that might help some. It's important to recognize and know that the world is the world, and it is a very strong experience. Having a human body is in a continuous experience of being irritated. From the time you're born to the moment you're out of your mother's womb, you start screaming. From that moment on, sensitivity, impingement, and irritations come through this sensitive form until it dies. So, contemplate what being birthed into this world is. I encourage you to do this rather than to judge it according to any ideals or ideas that you might have.
Whoa, Sumedho.
Yeah. That's been... I really like how he talks about how irritated he is and how that's just a personality. And noticing that's just a personality and not something I have to listen to. So I just wanted to share that if anyone else might.
And what I hear in that also is how normal it is.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Right.
Everyone, even Ajahn Sumedho can whine about how irritated he is, so that helps.
Thank you. That was a beautiful interaction between you and that little boy, by the way.
Oh, my love, yes.
He came, he needed a little comforting. You gave him a hand on the face and just stroked him, and he was good. It was just
he gets a lot of strokes. He loves it.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
Hi, Robert, it's Sherry.
Sherry, hi. Hello.
I wanted to add a little driving story that I never understood. Many years ago, I was living in California, and I was driving my 2 little girls to a dentist appointment. And I'd never been there before, so I was driving on the freeway and watching signs. And I don't know how much time went by, but I suddenly became aware that I had no idea where I was.
Huh?
Or what signs I had passed.
Mm.
It was quite terrifying. So I had to go off the freeway and come back on and retrace the driving that I did until I found out where I was.
Mm.
And I wasn't doing a practice at the time, so it didn't occur to me to examine it in any way. It was just quite frightening that I could be driving and not be present.
Right. And that, of course, is the normal state for most people. It's robots driving the cars. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Well, any other comment from anybody, and then we'll close. One more opportunity to share, please. All right. Well, it's lovely to be with you as always. And tomorrow I'll be on at 10, the regular Sunday gathering. And then Monday we'll be back to what I like to call with monotonous regularity. We meet at 7 a.m. and do the meditation adventure together. So I will unmute everybody and we can sing our little song. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu. 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 Goodbye all. Thank you so much for coming this morning. Bye.
Have a nice Saturday.
Yes. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Look at that cute dog. Yay.
Oh, that's a nice dog.
There he is. That's the rescue.
Oh, that's the rescue. Whoa, handsome dog.
Beautiful dog.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, all.
Bye.
Goodbye, dear friends on YouTube and Facebook. Hope you have a wonderful day.